All right, and welcome to another episode of Mile High Huddle. My name is Luke Pogles, editor-in-chief for Mile High Huddle, and I'm the lead writer. Chad, how's it going?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. How you doing, Luke?
Yeah, no complaints, no complaints. So, obviously the one complaint that you might have if you follow the Broncos is that the Broncos are 2-1, lost to the Seahawks on Sunday, 26-20, overtime loss. Just your impressions from the game, Chad?
Well, the first thing I'll say is, you know, the whole idea of being a moral victory. When I started pondering the game, I thought, in the NFL, let's face it, losses seeing as a moral victory. But after sitting on that and thinking about it, I've kind of changed my mind. I think that you know adversity builds character and builds resolve. Applies to where the Broncos are right. They overcome what happened and how they can build on what happened on Sunday. I don't think anybody expected, in their heart of hearts, outside of Broncos country. I'm talking at large. I think most people actually believe that, at least at CenturyLink Field, that the Broncos would go in there and it would probably end about the way it was supposed to end before they mounted that comeback in the fourth quarter. Probably a two-score victory in favor of the Seahawks. And for the Broncos to go in there and, heavyweight, slug it out all game long, blow for blow, and then on both sides of the ball in the fourth quarter to just have that huge surge in the comeback, there's a lot to take from that. And if you're the Denver Broncos staff, the players, there's a lot to like about that. And unfortunately, in overtime they fell short. But I think it's something they can build on moving forward, and I think it could make them a better team and position them for a much more, I think, effective regular season moving forward.
I agree. I put up a post last night, an article from Mile High Huddle, detailing how I thought that the loss could be a good thing for the Broncos, and chief among those reasons that I listed was that effectively the Broncos played a bad game. If you look at the statistics, their offense played worse on Sunday than it. Excuse me. Their defense played worse on Sunday against the Seahawks offense than it did in the Super Bowl, and yet they still brought the game to overtime. The run game did nothing, and they still brought the Seahawks to overtime. That, to me, if you're a member of the Broncos roster, that is extremely encouraging because the Seahawks aren't mortal. You went into their house on their own turf, came back 17 points in the final quarter, in the last frame, 17 points on that defense. And not only that, but they were also able to go down the field with 59 seconds on the clock, no timeouts, 80 yards, score a touchdown and a two-point conversion, which is the first time in the history of the NFL that has ever happened. That's pretty motivating.
And I still maintain that, as awesome as the 2013 Denver Broncos were, let's face it, the majority of that sizzle was on the offensive side of the ball, and I think that you could make an argument. It's guesswork and it's just for the sake of fun, but I think the 2013 Denver Broncos would have found a way to lose every game that they've been in so far this year. The way they've gone down, I think, like we've talked about earlier in the last couple of weeks, how, as frustrating as it is for some Broncos fans to see these games come down to maybe the last possession. The good thing about it is that the Broncos have come through. They've held, they've stopped it, they've emerged victorious. Sign, or it's a good case in point of how far this roster has come since last year with the new influx of talent on the defense between the free agents and the rookies. I think moving Nate Irving into middle linebacker as a starter is making a difference. He still has a lot to learn and improve on as far as his coverage skills and reading passing routes and the quarterback and all that, but that'll come to him with rest. So I think, yeah, you're right, man. It's exciting. There's a lot to like about, how the game unfolded. We didn't get the W, but there's a lot we can build on moving forward.
And speaking of a lot moving forward, several players had outstanding games, played very, very well against the Seahawks. One name, obviously, he's had that kind of a season all year, but that would be free agent acquisition DeMarcus Ware, defensive end. Um, he pressures Russell Wilson, sacks him near the goal line, strips the ball, but ruled down by contact. What does he do? Very next play, stands his blocker up and causes a safety. That's the kind of pressure that DeMarcus Ware brings. That's the kind of hustle and the outstanding play that he has brought to this defense. And if you want to talk about MVP of the Broncos early this season, I don't know. DeMarcus Ware is either that guy or in the top few.
And I think that, he's been a huge boost to the team. My only complaint with Ware is, I understand that they have him on a little bit of a snap count. Nothing too major, but he's not playing every down. My only complaint with Ware is that I don't want to continue to see his production come in bunches like it has been. I guess you could argue that that's the case with any elite edge player. A lot of the times, throughout the game, little things happen where they start setting up their opponent and they finally take advantage of an opportunity. They expose a weakness and you'll start seeing them produce in bunches. But I'd like to see Ware produce the way that we've seen him in those flashes consistently throughout the game. And, my opinion is that as far as impressions, standout performance, Von Miller, welcome back, to the NFL. For those of us who really love and watch the game closely, I think we can all agree that Miller has been a big impact player all season long through these first 3 weeks, even though he's not getting all the big, flashy sacks and numbers and all this. He's been, in my opinion, the MVP on the defensive side of the ball. Without him, I shudder to think what could happen in the run game, with only DeMarcus Ware rushing the passer on the edge, etc. But I was so stoked to see him perform the way he did against the Seahawks, and it just made me, just wish he could have been there in February. Who knows if it would have affected the total outcome of the game, but I know it would have made a difference. But I've been impressed with Von Miller getting his conditioning and his game legs under him, so it's exciting to see what he's going to be doing as we move forward too.
Yeah. He was going against a rookie on Sunday. That was Justin Britt out of Missouri. Seattle Seahawks took him in the second round, but oh my goodness, he looked so good. Vaughn is back, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's saying that he's hoping to have his knee brace gone when they take on the Cardinals in Week 5. So it'll be interesting to see. It sounds like his knee is solid and structurally sound, and he's feeling confident on it. So that's good to hear too.
Obviously, the Broncos did lose the game, so not everything turned out quite so well. Who are some players that you thought didn't have as good performances?
Well, I'm going to kind of generally talking about a specific unit, and that is the offensive line. We've been seeing it. It wasn't so bad in Week 1 and Week 2. They did get a lot of push versus the Chiefs. They struggled a little bit versus the Colts in the run game, but versus the Seahawks, they got straight up manhandled, and it was embarrassing. And it was one of the things that handicapped the Broncos' offense, and ended up forcing them to become one-dimensional in the second half. And John Fox has talked about how he's kind of downplayed it a little bit, but he has acknowledged that, listen, the opportunity to look at everything, all areas that we feel like, we're falling short on. And I think any objective person watching that unit perform, the Broncos have to figure out a way to get them gelling, working as a unit. I was impressed with how they protected Manning in the passing game, but in the running game, it was literally paper tiger.
Yeah, it was a lot of paper. It was bad. Um, I mean, I saw a statistic. I believe that Monte Ball has had, um, or perhaps not Ball. I'm sorry, the running game as a whole. 63 snaps this season have been run plays. Of those, 28 times the back's first contact, the defense first getting to the running back has been in the backfield. 28 out of 63. That's pretty atrocious. Um, and that comes from Andrew Mason, who highly trust, highly regard. Um, Obviously, the offensive line isn't getting much push. That's that's pretty much what I was going to say in terms of the one player I didn't think was or performed so well. One I would call out would be Demaryius Thomas. Obviously, Demaryius just has not developed into the superstar this season as we may have thought. He's had about 13 catches for just around 100 yards and a touchdown, and for the amount of potential talent that's sitting right there, it's incredible to think that he has underperformed to that extent. He was pretty much invisible against the Seahawks, didn't notch his first catch until the end of the third quarter. And this is the guy who put up 13 catches, a Super Bowl record 13 catches against them. He's playing hurt, and it shows.
Yeah. Well, and when you see such a drastic, paradox or difference between what we're accustomed to seeing from Demaryius Thomas and what we're seeing now, there's got to be a reason why. About how well he must be, his mind's not right. He's worried about his contract. That's not it. He's been playing hurt. More information on that came to light over the last couple days leading up to the Seahawks game. It's a foot injury, and a player like Demaryius Thomas, who relies so much on his explosion and quick twitch, it's throwing him off, and it's probably affecting his mindset as far as doesn't feel like he's 100%. And then anyone who's ever been in pain knows that if you're fighting through pain, it's a distracting. It's going to distract you. Now, I'm not trying to make excuses for Thomas, but what I am trying to say is we got to keep that in mind. He's playing hurt, and in this particular case, for this particular player, the bye week came at the perfect time, even though it's super early. It came right on time, and he'll be able to put that foot up and hopefully be 100% as he goes on to in his next game matchup to go against who I think is one cover corner in the NFL and Patrick Peterson. On just a one-on-one basis, I think that he's the best. So hopefully he gets it straight and he gets it all worked out with his foot, healthy 100%, because that'll be a tough obstacle to overcome.
I mean, even behind Seattle, that's pretty much, in my opinion, the second best defensive backfield in the league. That's an outstanding defense, and we'll go into that in the coming weeks, break down that matchup. But here's an interesting stat for you real quick. The Broncos ran 72 offensive snaps on Sunday. Demaryius Thomas was on the field for 70 of those. Emmanuel Sanders was on the field for 71.
Wow. That is a telling stat. And, it just goes to show how important Sanders has been in this young stage of the season. I mean, I think we all were excited and felt like he was going to be a big impact player when, Elway brought him in basically to replace the departed Eric Decker. But I guess I speak for myself on this that I did not – I mean, I always respected him as a player in Pittsburgh, but I never felt like – I was never that impressed with him as a playmaker.
No.
But, geez Louise, he has just been the shot in the arm that this offense has needed as we work through, gelling issues that we're dealing with and trying to become more balanced.
He's had more plays over 40 yards than the entire San Francisco 49ers offense.
Wow. Yeah, that's what's going on in San Francisco, I don't know. I can only hope that
that's a whole other story.
Continue until we have to face them.
Yeah. Well, moving forward, I think we can both safely say that the the Broncos do have some things to work on, but with the bye week, it has come at a perfect time. And matching up against the Cardinals in Week 5, again, they're one of the 3 undefeated teams left. It's going to be a good game.
Yep, absolutely. The Seahawks gave us a good kind of taste of how it's going to be, facing the NFC West this year. And I think it's one of those things, as we were talking about earlier, that's going to kind of orient them toward how they need to perform and execute if they want to win against these teams. Now, the only thing we've got going, I shouldn't say the only thing, one of the things we have going for us going against the Cardinals, and as you mentioned, we'll get more into this as we get closer, but is the fact that they're without Carson Palmer. His return, last I checked, is unclear. They're not sure yet exactly when they can expect him back. Drew Stanton has been carrying the torch, and that's one of the things that are the mark of a good team, though, is that they find different ways to win, no matter what. I mean, if they're missing guys in the defense and the running game, I mean, they're missing the most important key to their team and their quarterback, and they're still finding ways to pull out the win. So we got a tough matchup ahead in the Cardinals, but I think the Broncos are going to be more than up for the challenge. And if they lose this week, they're going to get handed their first loss in Week 5.
Yeah, I mean, you put it very well. It's a next man up league. Palmer's out. Larry Fitzgerald has not been his normal self. But again, Cardinals are on a bye week this week as well. And so they also are going to get that time to find themselves.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes down. But the biggest things to take from this move forward, like I said, is the Broncos. I think learn what it's going to take to as far as executing. Hopefully they'll play it. They're ready to start playing a full 60 minutes. Stake a little bit in the mental errors and really show us what this 2014 team is capable of doing.
Absolutely. Well, I think that just about wraps it up. As always, thank you for watching. If you do have questions, if you have comments, you can reach me on Twitter at MHS Radio. You can reach Chad at CJ_Broncos.
That's right. And, hey, hang out with us here at Mile High Huddle. Create an account. Let us get to know you in the message boards. We've got an awesome community here. We're going to be bringing you content on a day-to-day basis that we believe is the best online as far as Broncos content. We'd like you to stick around and create an account and hang out here with us so we can get to know you. But other than that, we got a little over a week, but go Broncos.
And with the bye week, what better time to join? And see you around.